comments. You're like, chug the Red Bull, stay up because it's Friday night, and we got shit to
for
do.
me, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What time is it over there?
9:30.
9:30 at night. Gotcha. So that's why you scheduled it at 9 a.m. my time. You're like, let's just do this, and all of a sudden, like,
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking 9 a.m. You're just waking up that early.
You were cut into my bar time though. I had to choose to the earliest possible time. So, but it's all
How
good.
long you lived in Vietnam?
4 years now. Actually, almost 4.5 years.
Wow. So it was culture shock when you got there. You ever come back to the States and experience the same culture shock?
Yeah, actually, well, more sticker shock than culture shock, but it fucking went so much. Pricing went so much up in just 4 years. But yeah, when I went to the U.S. for the first time since I left this past winter, and I brought my wife back because I got married out here and just brought her home to meet the family and all that. And yeah, it was crazy, man. It was weird. It took me a couple of days to adjust to like how life is in the U.S. Like I didn't remember even like how to cross the street and stuff. I was like walking and people were yelling at me and stuff. So it was weird. I had to like get used to living in the U.S. again.
When I was in India, the whole thing was like, good luck. I believe in you. Cross wherever you want. And like nobody in their cars stopped at all whatsoever. It was you as the pedestrian. Your job was to Frogger through the darn thing. Is that the same way in Vietnam?
Yeah, pretty much the same way. They don't really have like street rules or like driving school at all.
Oh, okay. Great. Yeah. And they got like their own version of tuk-tuks, right? Like those little death things. Like it's like a little
that's more like, that's just more in Thailand, but yeah, those are good fun.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man. When I was in New Delhi, they put all of us into like 4 or 5 tuk-tuks in a row, and they're going like 80 miles an hour down a traffic circle. I'm like, what is happening here? Like, how do people? But apparently that's like totally normal. And when I went there, that was my culture shock. My question for you is like, setting aside like the prices thing, like what are some of the bigger challenges like Vietnamese culture versus US culture? Is it like kiss, bow, shake hands, like that type of book? Is like business conversations very, very different? Or do your clients not give a shit and they're like, as long as you're producing, it doesn't matter?
Actually, the funny thing is I don't do any business in Vietnam. I work with like almost every other continent or country except here. I just kind of live here and we have a couple team members here. But yeah, it's just like, it's just better. It's just better to go for first world countries, right? I mean, not to say it's better or worse, but like trying to sell high ticket marketing, consulting services here, it's pretty tough. And everyone's kind of really like behind technologically. So it's like you're introducing to them, it's like a brand new thing that's like scary, you know?
Yeah.
Do you going to start some business here? It would just be for fun, like a cafe or a restaurant or something.
I was going to say something like a gaming cafe or like a coffee shop or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for sure. Like depending on what you want to do, there's tons of opportunity here. So like having an online business, like an agency or a consulting or info product or whatever, that makes sense to target the rest of the world. Right. But if you were to come here and do some kind of like brick and mortar, like, a gaming cafe, spa, restaurant, bars, like you could crush it. Right. Because if you think about it, you'd be coming over with like first world knowledge. Right. Yeah. And like there's tons of businesses to be made if you just take like something that happens in America and just bring it to a country like Vietnam. You know, I just had no interest in doing that because I've been focused on my thing, but like I see lots of other foreigners coming here and starting stuff.
I was about to ask, what is it like that expat community in Vietnam? I can't believe it can't just be you, right? Like there's got to be a whole cohort of Americans, Europeans making euros and USDs, but living in Vietnam, right?
Yeah, there's tons. If it was just me, I wouldn't have been able to live here. It would have been too much like fitting in, like trying to fit in, you know? So that was actually what I was surprised by when I first came out here. Well, I first came out here for like a 2-week trip. I wasn't supposed to come out here for 4.5 years. It's still technically a trip. I've never just like decided when I'm going home. But yeah, I was surprised to see, first of all, how developed it was out here. And second of all, how many other like Americans, Canadians, Europeans there are that live out here and just work online. And I mean, if you think about it, like basically if your income doesn't depend on where you live, well, first of all, I came from New York. So I came from like the most expensive place, right?
Yeah.
So basically going from New York to here, it was basically like my income grew 5x. You can like look at it like that, right? Because the living cost was like 20% of what it was in the US. So it's just kind of like arbitrage.
Did you know that was what you wanted to do back in the day when you're going to college and got your corporate sales gig? Because it sounds like this wasn't like intentioned. Like you didn't sit down and say, my vision board is going to have Vietnam on it, right? Like that's not the case, right? Like
no, not at all.
Back like your corporate sales job, like bring us back to that. What was going on over there?
Yeah, so I kind of fell into a corporate sales job when I was 18. I was actually, I think it was a marketing class, and I was like sleeping in. But I heard someone came in like a recruiter, and they were like, "Hey, you can make $20,000 a month doing this thing." So I was like, "Okay, cool." I just signed up for whatever it was.
Yeah.
But at that point, I had no idea what I wanted to do in my life, like most freshmen in college. So I was like, I'll just try whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like a sales and marketing internship. They said that you would learn how to run a business, like a house painting business, which I eventually did. But it was really more like they just threw us all into like door-to-door sales.
Wait,
So,
I didn't know this. You had a house painting business?
yeah. Well, it was like a kind of like a franchise inside of a company.
Right.
So it was like a bigger company I was working for, but like they had this whole thing where they would get college kids, teach them how to sell, market, hire people, run a business
Right.
through like a pretty safe environment. And like, yeah, so that's what I did for like 5 years from like 18 to 23.
No shit. That's like how
Yeah.
you got your hustle. That was the start. Is that right?
That was the very beginning. Yeah. That was when I first learned what lead generation was, even though we didn't call it then. But like I was going door to door. Like I probably knocked on like 10,000 doors over that time.
Yeah.
And once I finally learned that I could do it online, I was like, yeah, I'm never doing that again. Like online is the best.
What was that like in-person sales pitch? Because like I've seen those, all those like Ring cameras or people getting chased off their porch,
Yeah.
right? I've seen the meme videos of like the sweet talk and humorous salesperson trying to sell some spray or something like that. So what is like the actual 60-second sales pitch if you're knocking on a stranger's door, trying to like, I mean, you're not trying to sell paint, you're trying to like get a second call. Is that right? Like, what does that process
Yeah,
look like?
exactly. So that was one thing. It was a lot easier when I learned that I wasn't trying to convince them to paint their house. I was just trying to say like, hey, let's do an appointment. Let's do an estimate, right? Basically the same thing we do, like, same thing you do with your ads is you just try to get them to the next step.
Yeah.
But honestly, like it taught me more than anything. Like I believe a lot that a lot of online marketers who haven't really done like in-person business should go out and do some like in-person sales, because you learn a lot about like we're really all out here trying to learn about people and psychology, right? And there's so much you learn about just by actually doing this in person, although it is of course scary, right? To like walk into a business or walk up to someone's door. I definitely had lots of doors slammed in my face, and one guy that like actually chased me down the neighborhood on a Sunday morning because it was like 8 a.m.
Nice.
But yeah, the pitch was like 30 seconds. I still remember like exactly to my heart, even though it was like almost 10 years ago now. But I would just be like, "Hey Jeff, how's it going, man?
What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Look, sorry to bother you, but we're painting a couple houses down the neighborhood. Like you might know your neighbor Sharon over there. And I was just wondering if you guys would like to get an estimate sometime, because I saw some peeling that's going to cost you a lot if you don't fix it."
Yeah. Was there always
like
a
that.
Sharon? Like no matter what, there's always a painting next door?
Statistically, there's a Sharon somewhere.
There's always a Sharon.
Yeah. But no, if we actually knew, like if we actually had a job site, I would say that person's name, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, Jerry, no way!" And obviously, that was like when I learned what social proof was. And if not, I would just say like, "Hey, we're painting houses in your neighborhood."
Fantastic.
But yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Before we jump off this like painting thing, I think that's a really hallmark and bookmarked moment of like most people's journeys. For me, it was Intel Ericsson, and then it was selling in person. For you, it was signing up with a painting company and selling in person. I found a lot of people have a lot of success. They just know how to have a conversation, and they're not trying to like hit a home run. They're just trying to get on base. And it sounds like your plan is like, look, I'm not trying to sell you a whole bunch of paint. I'm just trying to say I'm next door. That's the excuse, right? The reason I'm coming in is like you got some shoddy whatever the hell is coming off the roof. And if you want, we can sit down and have a conversation. That was your whole pitch. And you did that 1.5 million times, right?
Yeah, that was exactly the vibe. Once I kind of got it there, it was just like cake. And if they said no, I would just ask them a question like, "Well, how long ago has it been since your house was painted?" And then they start thinking about it, and then they'd be engaged, and then we'd be able to set an appointment.
Did they teach you this script, or that was like cutting your teeth?
They taught some of it, and some of it I just kind of developed through doing it millions of times and beating my head against the wall.
Fucking love it. So I'm going over right now in one of our 6-week sprints, like this like really short form DBR campaigns. And the formula we're going over is the excuse, the reason, and the question. Independent of that, that's exactly what you just brought up. Yeah. Why am I here? What are we talking about? And what am I asking for? What question can I ask to get a response? And it's fucking fantastic to hear like sales is sales because people are people. Like I think that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Whether you're selling painting or like whatever, and it's funny too. Like I remember there was a lot of other. So eventually at this company, I got promoted to sales management. I ended up dropping out of school my second year.
Yo, what did your parents think of that shit? Dropping out of school your second year?
Well, my mom hated it. Yeah, my mom hated it. But I was paying for myself, so they were like, "Oh, whatever. We can't say much."
Yeah.
But also, my dad actually, he also went to college as an engineer, and he ended up dropping out and then started like a pretty successful tech company. So like, he kind of was like, "Yeah, just do whatever you want." It worked for me. So luckily, they were pretty chill about it. But yeah, my mom still asks me to this day, "Am I going back to college like 10 years later?" Sometimes.
So I have 3 degrees. And my mom is still saying to this day, so what's stopping you from getting, why can't you just, what's wrong with it? It would be great to have a doctor in the family. Like, what do you want me to do, mom? I'm not going to like stop everything for like 4 or 5 or 6 years. And it's definitely like a safety thing.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, man, in like the modern day economy, like relying on grandfather's knowledge is not going to be what takes you into the 21st century, 22nd century. It's not like modern day skills. Like no school is going to say, hey, here's how to leverage sales conversations into Chat GPT doing YouTube automation. Like they're not talking about that at all, right?
Yeah.
They're talking about product, position, price. And I don't remember at any time over all my degrees we ever had a draft or a sales conversation training ever.
Right? Yeah, man. If you think about it, they really can't teach it, right? Because they take like a year to like longer than that to like print and publish a book, and by that time it's like all this other shit's come out in the last year, So it's like we have to kind of learn this stuff online. But that was why I dropped out of school, because like I kind of tasted like real life experience when I was 18 and started at the house painting business, and I was just like, it was just 9 day. I was like, I'm not learning anything useful in school that actually applies to what I'm doing in real business. So let me just go do this full time and make money and learn rather than pay money to learn. Yeah. Not to say college is bad. I just think, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur, like, they're, like you said, they're not teaching you marketing, digital marketing or sales in school. And they're kind of skills that have to be like acquired through doing it. So that's why I ended up dropping out.
So you're in college, you start doing painting lead generation. That's not what you called it, right? You probably called it sales or like running your own business or whatever. Your whole jam is like, I'm going to start conversations. I'm going to give an excuse and a reason and a question. And was it you doing the second appointment, or was it like the manager coming over? Like, what was that sales process like?
No, so basically I ended up just doing the sales and the project management and the hiring. So it was kind of like you start out doing door-to-door sales, and then you actually learn how to actually run the business. That's when I realized that the back end fulfillment is not my strong suit. That's, you're kind of either like a marketing sales guy or like a guy that makes things work and like makes sure customers aren't pissed off.
Man, fucking operations sucks. Like it's no fun. Like we got all this like pomp and circumstances, excitement and motivation. Look at all the colors, and it's like, all right, time to do the worksheet. And you're like, fuck, man, I hate worksheets.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I don't want to do that shit. But this was like your first start of business from beginning to end, figuring out where you fit, where you don't want to fit. You're in college, you're making money, you drop out. When do you leave your painting scenario and move into corporate sales? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of moved up into corporate sales within the company. So like after I, built my own little business, and by the way, a great example of not being an operations guy, I sold like $110,000 worth of painting that summer as a freshman, and we produced like 60K of it. Like that was that was how much of a sales guy I was, not actually the guy to build a team. But not the best painter for sure. But I realized that, okay, maybe this marketing and selling thing, I can do that. So I ended up, growing in the company and then getting promoted to actually manage and build a sales team. So like it was pretty cool, because by the time I was 21, I had a sales team of like almost 20 people, and I was just learning so much about like managing people and leadership and like getting all these super awesome skills. And then I ended up helping the company start a new division, which at that time was like carpentry and like existing sales. So like going back to all the houses they painted and offering them other home improvement services, carpentry renovation.
Love it. Fucking love it, right? Sell something else. They already trust you with their money. Sell them something else. That's fucking fantastic.
Exactly. And they weren't doing it. They were just selling painting. And then they were like, wait a second, we have like, because this was like a $40 million company, right? It was a national company. So like we have all this database of people we've sold stuff to that we never sold them anything else. So I was part of helping to bring up that new division. And that was fun. But after like the 5th year, I was just like, I kind of always knew from the beginning I want to start a business, but when I was 18, I was like, I don't know anything. Like it's going to be a disaster if I start a business. So I kind of purposely went there to like get an education about business. And then after the 5th year, it was kind of starting to be the same thing, starting to be repetitive, starting to be a little bit soul sucking. The soul sucking struggles. So that was when I kind of
struggle. I used Chat GPT to fill in the blank. I got soul sucking, and then it was a blank, and I was like, fill in the S. Yeah.
No way.
So
really?
So with my way of working my brain, I'm always very good, like 0 to 80%, 0 to 90% very, very quickly. And even when I do copy and I'm writing, there's like there's like blanks, and I've never let the blanks stop me. And when I did, I was very, very bad at copy. But when I just said blank and then filled it in, my brain kept going. And I've always struggled with, again, filling in the blanks. And for me, that Chat GPT has been like absolutely fantastic at saying, hey, here's a couple things that fit into it. It's kind of like you got 90% of the way the song, you're just missing that last like hoorah, that last bang for the buck type of thing. And so that's really been my fit. And by the way, I have people that I'm having conversations with that are in this group that are now in their freshman year of college, right?
Yeah.
And I've asked them, so what tools and techniques are you learning? And it's the same stuff I learned in my freshman year in college.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
And like, come on, guys. And like, I always get very positive feedback about like these interviews because it's breaking someone else's brain and either removing the stigma of like, you're going to go learn on the job. And like, I'll bet your mom and your dad were like, really? You want to be a painter?
Not they still think I'm a painter, by the way.
Still think you're a painter, right? And it was like poo-pooed, like it was below your pay grade type of thing. And I want to argue that it's 100% not. It's just building skill sets, understanding how stuff works, and it'd be no different than being a freshman and getting an internship, but we just have a different title for it. Either way.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And if you get an internship at a big company, you're going to be like pushing papers, right? So at least if you can just, even though it wasn't like, I wasn't trying to really get into the construction industry, it was like, they gave me responsibility, and that's how you learn skills, which is also why I think agency is a really cool business for a lot of people. Cause it's like, even if you don't want to be an agency owner, it's just a simple business that you can learn the fundamental skills of like selling, marketing, and delivering, which you could transfer to someone else. Cause you know how it is, right? A lot of people, they run an agency and they end up going to do something like wildly different, but it's a nice like way to start. So that's kind of what painting was for me.
And you did it for 4 years, 5 years, something like that, which is like the equivalent of like a college degree plus a master's or something like that. And after 4 or 5 years of getting itchy, you're like, hey man, this is not me. This is not mine. It's time to graduate out. Is that right? Yeah,
definitely. It was because the end goal was always to do something of my own. And then I kind of stumbled into digital marketing, probably how most people, by seeing a Tai Lopez ad back then. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is cool.
Lamborghini in my garage. I'm like, oh, we'll always last. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I tried to put the Lamborghini in the garage, but it just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit with all my bookshelves.
Yeah, right. Like, what are we going to do? So was that like when you started your job, you always know you wanted to do your own thing. Was there a hallmark, bookmarked, like this is it moment where you said, I'm going to take my skill sets and apply it to my own business? Was it like an ad like that broke your brain? Like what, one day you just woke up and you're like, I'm going to do my own thing. Like, what was that for you?
Yeah, I think part of it was, I remember like my 5th year there, I just remember having like some arguments with my boss, and like just the feeling of like, I'm like doing all this, but I'm still just like a pawn, you know?
Yeah.
Like there was just that feeling of like, I just wanted that control and kind of do my own thing. And I saw a lot of my other friends that had worked there for 4 or 5 years start businesses and succeed with it. Cause it was a very like entrepreneurial culture and type of company.
Right.
So I remember, I mean, it was a lot of things. But I remember there was like a couple of, just disagreements with my boss where I was like, okay, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm ready to like not have a boss anymore.
Yeah.
But how I stumbled into it was, I remember one time I was at a university, because I would go to like big colleges and like actually recruit for the company. So the last couple of years I was doing recruiting. I remember I was talking on the phone about marketing or something, and then this back at the time I was like,
thank you for using the phone sign. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Who holds a phone like that? I'm sorry.
I know, right?
All right, go on.
I got 2 phones.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, yeah.
But how I actually like discovered digital marketing was like, okay, so I was at a college, and I'm married now, but I was single, 21-year-old back then. And this attractive girl comes up to me, and she was like, hey, I heard you talking about marketing, and like, I'm a fashion influencer. I need help with my Instagram. I was like, yeah, Instagram. Like, I know all about that. So basically this random girl came up to me and was like, you know, can you help me with marketing? So I sat down and like taught her some things, even though I had no idea about digital marketing, but I learned like offline marketing.
Right.
And I was like, oh, like a lot of this stuff actually still applies. And like, you know, I was kind of trying to get a date with the girl back then, but like that still ended up like showing me the path. Right. I think I was charging like $100 a month for consulting or something stupid.
It's not even a real number like that.
Exactly. You can't even buy a coffee anymore with that in New York. But anyways, yeah, go ahead.
So like, but that was like a moment of like, this could be an in-demand skill outside of my job. Like people are willing to have conversations with me, value what I have to say, and then pay me somehow. Is that right?
Yeah, that was kind of what opened the door. So like, you know, girl came up, helped her with her thing, and I was like, wait a second, other people probably need help with this too. Then I just started kind of geeking out with it, and I realized like, hey, I kind of at that point I was a little tired of the construction industry, but I knew obviously like that I like marketing and sales and the whole building a business side of it. So I was like, maybe I can take what I learned there and apply it in the digital world. And then I started just, trying different things, freelancing. My first client was actually a bagel shop. Like my first like real client that paid me more than $100 was a bagel shop.
What could you possibly do for a bagel shop?
We built our website, and I had my buddy build it for like $500 and charge her $800. So I was like, $300. This is awesome.
Free money. This is so great.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, at the construction business, I was used to like subcontracting the work out to people that obviously like were legit painters, not me. Yeah. So I was already used to the whole like subcontracting model. So I was like, wait, maybe I could do this in the digital marketing space. And then I remember I actually asked my boss if I could have a budget for Facebook ads to get leads for the construction company, because they were still like doing nothing digital, right? And they were like 30-year-old, like $40 million company. And we did it. We got a couple leads from it. And I'm like, oh my God, like this works. Like I don't have to be having teams of people going door to door myself. Like this is actually the way, this actually works. So that was really the light bulb moment, was when I generated my first lead for my own business through online methods. But then like I kept trying to push it to the bosses and the CEOs. And like, they were like, oh yeah, this is cool. But like, we have our whole business built this way, so we're not going to do it. And that company ended up tanking. They're like now not a $30 million company anymore, unfortunately, because it's a shame because they're such awesome people. But like, I witnessed them just like not transforming with and not adapting to the digital world. So at that point I was like, okay, it's a little bit of a lost cause in that sense. And I really like this digital stuff. So let me just go see if I can help other people with it.
Do you find that's often the difference between people who are successful and not, like their ability to just say, screw it, we'll try it and go all in something new? Like they're not hesitant or resistant to new ideas. Do you find that's like the common theme with people who are successful and people who aren't?
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. I think it's like nothing really works like forever, right? Everything's always changing in our world. And now the rate of change is like it's just way faster, right? Like the amount of like technological innovation in the last year versus like in 2000, it's just like everything kind of builds on itself, right? It's all exponential. So it's like things are always changing, and you can't really just hold on to what works. Cause that was what I saw them do, right? They try to hold on to what works and like force it, but didn't adapt. But if you think about it, like any innovation comes from like someone taking a risk and just being like, yeah, screw it, we're gonna try this, right? So it's like, if like the world's moving, you kind of have to move,
Yeah, otherwise you end up like 6 months behind and you're already too late type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So looking back at like that painting job, that was your first time in a learned, safe, let's try it out environment where like failure wasn't on the table. Like it wasn't even an option in your head. Like I'm coming from zero type of thing. So any win is a W. Mm-hmm. And you learned how to do lead gen. You learned how to set appointments. You learned how to have a conversation. You monitored fulfillment, and you were not stuck in fulfillment. You had subcontractors. Yeah. So you immediately came in with a unique philosophy, which is my philosophy was always like, I'll just do it myself. So I always had this like swing back and forth between prospecting, sales, and fulfillment. Mm-hmm. I was fulfillment. I was not prospecting, back and forth. And to this day, I still think I can do it better than everybody else, which is 100% false, right? Not even close, right? But that's just how my brain works. Like, fuck it, I'll just do it right now. You kind of like skipped that because you grew up with subcontractors, and you said, let's start my own agency, and you got a bagel shop. What happened from there?
Yeah, so then around that time, once I kind of proved that it was a real thing to myself, then I quit my job. I did actually quit it too early though, because I was still so new to it all. So I still wasn't able to make the amount of money I needed to like still live the same lifestyle. So what happened was I quit my job. 3 months later, I was like still trying to figure out what I was really doing, other than just serving bagel shops, right? But I ended up like, okay, I'm not gonna have enough income if I don't make this work soon. There's too much it's just not gonna work, right? So I ended up getting a tech sales job and kind of going back into sales. After like 2 months, I was like, this is not working because my mind's over here. Right. This was just kind of like so my plan was like, hey, go back to a cushy job, but I'll just build this on the side. But I just couldn't do it. I'm like the person that needs to kind of go like all in or just not do it at all. I remember even watching like back in the day, Tai Lopez's course on my lunch break. And I was like, yeah, there's something wrong here. Like, obviously my mind's not in this job,
Yeah.
So what I realized, I'm like, okay, I quit that job. And I was like, let me just downgrade my lifestyle. Like the reason I went and got a job was because I was like spending too much. Right. So I was like, let me, just lower my living expenses, and then I'll have more time to make this agency thing work. And that was when that was when the Van story came about.
Oh my God. Like when you put that, I was like, all right, we're talking Chris Farley, live in a van down by the river type scenario, right? And I thought it was like a joke or something like that, but you weren't kidding. Like you literally moved into a van. And
Yeah.
looking back, I'll bet that gave you a lot of breathing space. That gave you a lot of like mind space of saying, all right, I don't have to go ahead and pull in X dollars because my expenses are not that high.
Yeah.
But what the hell, dude? Living in a van. Like, so you just traveled a lot? Is that what you did? You just got in a car and just drove? Or what happened? What is that life like?
Yeah, so at that time, I actually brought the girl I was dating into the business. So I decided to start the agency properly with who's now my ex-girlfriend. So yeah, more on that later.
Yeah.
But I started the business with her, and she had like a really kick-ass, I forget what it's called. It's like the Toyota, whatever. Anyway, it was a big old white van that like you can fit 2 people in. And we were just like, hey, let's just go travel to like, because we were in like North Carolina, and it's like not really much. We're in like kind of near Asheville. Wasn't like much business happening around. So we're like, hey, why don't we just go drive around, like have a cool road trip and just go to like big cities and like prospect clients. And that's what we did. And then it turned into doing that for like almost 6 months. But yeah, it was rough. It was fun to do at the time, especially when I was younger, but I wouldn't do it again.
This is like painting, like you're painting relationship, but nationwide. Is that right? Like,
yeah, pretty much.
So what was like your opening sales conversation to a random person in like Oklahoma City that you have to be driving through? Like, what do you like? I've got a bagel shop. I'm doing a website store. Like, how do you start conversations? Like, what does that look like for you?
So at that point, we were still doing, that was when I discovered cold email and outbound, right? Because we did try like walking into businesses, but I don't know. I just never worked walking into businesses for me. Cause I was always like, I mean, you're always interrupting people with lead gen, but like, at least, I mean, this is probably why it works, but like, at least with a cold call, they can hang up or they can just flick over your ad. But when you're in person, it's kind of like, it feels more like you're actually like just interrupting them, which is probably why it works. But I don't really like doing that. So then that was when I discovered cold email. So what we would do is before we go to city, we would just list out like all the businesses in the niche we're working with, which is alternative health. So like gyms and like yoga and like, alternative medicine clinics, like naturopaths and stuff. So we find all like the fitness and alternative health-based businesses, get them on a list, and then just do cold emails. And that was before I discovered there was software that could do this, because I was literally sending emails like one by one.
Like through your Gmail, like write it out, send it, write it out, send it. That's so funny. That's what I did, by the way, in my MBA program to get internships. Like what I would do is I would go to the back of university alumni magazines where they had all the alumni names written out, and the alumni could submit information about them, like Jeff Miller just bought a company, or Jeff Miller just retired, or something like that. And then they often had their contact information, or you could find it easily. So I'd go find that person. I had a virtual assistant go find their contact information. And then I would have an 80% done email template. And it was a wash you email you may not get every day, which was my subject line. And that's what opened the most, right? And then it would like a couple sentences about why I'm contacting them, what I want from them, and are they open to a phone conversation. Keep in mind, I'm not looking for a job. I'm just looking for the right way to approach applying for jobs. And these were people that worked at McKinsey, worked at Goldman Sachs, worked at Google, worked at Intel, worked at all these like massive companies. And I had this connection because I was like a WashU graduate. I was fucking cold emailing them. Okay.
That's great.
They would reply. And I didn't know that you could schedule email. So I woke up at like 7 a.m., right? Clicked send one after another, then went to sleep. And then by like 9, 10, or 11, I had a couple of replies. And that like genuinely broke my brain. Like being able to say, hey, random person to random person, you want to get on the phone with me? It was like advertising before I knew it was. And that's what you were doing. You had a list of like your gyms. You'd cold email one at a time. My question for you is, what's your opener? What did you say to get these people like replying yes? It can't be like, are you interested in getting 100 more shows or 2x ROI, your money back guarantee? You're not doing that. Like, what are you saying to these people?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, that was probably about four or 5 years ago when cold emailing was a little bit easier. Not everyone was doing it. So like, actually I wasn't doing it very good. Like I had to send so many emails to get a lead. So, by now I've gotten really, really good at it, but like I was sending them such an essay. I was like, I found your gym and like, we do digital marketing, we do this and this, but just by the law of the numbers game, it works because there was some, you're always going to find someone who's solution aware. And like, we had someone that was like, oh, I just fired my digital marketing company yesterday. And I'm looking for a new one. So yeah, the pitch actually wasn't really that good, but just the like beating my head against the wall and doing it tons of times was what got me some clients. And then of course I refined it. What we actually started doing is sending people personalized videos. So we had a video where we would like say their name in the first part of it, then have the rest of the video be like us talking about how we can help their business.
And it was the same video for everybody.
Yeah, same video. Just the first 2 seconds were different because we would just say their name or be like, "Oh, I love your gym. You know, you have great reviews on here, yada yada yada." So it was like still looking personalized. Now there's actually AI tools that can do that, which is pretty insane. But yeah, we were just doing like, yeah.
Wait, so you were like clipping you didn't have Loom back then. So you're clipping the videos that you send to people and then put them together and then send it?
Yeah, definitely. So we had like one body of the video and then just an intro, like in the same location. It was like outside kind of by the mountains.
Yeah.
And just like saying, "Hey, name, you know, I really love whatever your business name was." And
your internet cut out just as you said the most important part of the fucking interview. God damn it. Okay. Go back like a minute. Okay. Tell us again what was happening.
Yeah. So the body of the video was the same. I would just clip the first 5 seconds in the same location we shot the body and just be like, "Hey, name, you know, we love what you're doing at this company name." And then just say like, "We found a bunch of great reviews online and thought you'd be a great fit, you know, for what we do."
Fantastic. Tell you what, man, like it's never about the how, it's about the why, or it's about the what, or more importantly, it's about the will. Like if everyone is struggling with prospecting, there's definitely 100% a way to get shit done. Like you can email, you can reach out to alumni, you could just use any excuse. "Hey, I'm a Miami entrepreneur. I noticed blah, blah, blah." Or you can just do this like 2-second clip, which I think is fucking hilarious. Now there's AI that does it, but
yeah,
damn, that's cool. Was there something that clicked in your head that translated into that first deal? Like you're in the van, you're dropping emails, you're doing your video clips. What was your first deal like from this? Because this is effectively your first time when it's stranger to stranger. Is that right? Up until now, you're meeting people in person, or you're the painting company, and now you're vagabonding. So like, what were those conversations like, right?
Yeah. Well, definitely getting showered and cleaned up to actually meet these people went for the actual appointment was that was the biggest challenge of it all, not the sales script.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like it was tough at first because I think I did the same thing with my girlfriend at the time for like 3-4 months, and like nothing got through. Like we had some appointments, but like we didn't close anything. And at like the lowest point, I had like just maybe a couple $100 in the bank, and I was like, well, this is probably just enough to get home unless I get a client in the next like week. Yeah. And like all of a sudden we got like a couple callbacks that week of people being like, "Yeah, I'd love to start with a $2,000 package," or "Yeah, could you come back into my office," or "Let's do this." And then like all of a sudden I was like actually about to like be like, do I have to go back home and go to a job like again? And then like we had $6,000 in like retainers like the next week. So
wow.
That was a light bulb moment because, well, first of all, I kind of realized at that point, like, hey, if I start off just selling like really cheap packages, it's going to be too hard. So I already kind of knew that like mid-ticket or like high ticket is just going to be easier to get it started. Because really just like 3 clients brought us $6,000 in revenue, and that wasn't too hard to get those first 3. But
yeah,
that was a light bulb moment because like, you know, you could say like all that success came in a week of like going from 0 to having, you know, like $6,000 in revenue, right? But really it was like the 4 months that built up to it. So the learning for me there was like, it's kind of like you said about prospecting, right? If you just do one thing long enough, the consistency will just pay off because you just get better and better and better. And then you also build up like the compounding effect of like the network and having a pipeline. So like, I'm really glad that I didn't, because I think you've probably seen this too. A lot of entrepreneurs, when something's not working, they go try something else, which also doesn't work because they didn't give it enough time, and they try something else. So it's like Facebook ads sucks, Google ads sucks, content sucks, like everything sucks because I suck at it, you know?
Yes.
So for me, like I kind of already knew this a little bit because I was in sales for a while. So I knew that there's that natural process of like getting better at one thing and like building the sales pipeline. So that's kind of why I stuck with it. But like, I'm really happy I didn't just give up on the method, because otherwise, you know, you're starting from 0 then if you start with a whole new like channel, right? So I just kind of smashed outbound.
I think that is a massively overlooked adult level lesson. Like if you keep giving up, you'll only know how to give up. And if you learn how to stick with something, eventually you'll have success. I found people that are fundamentally like fat, obese, challenged, never been to the gym, everything about their body, they're just flabby. And I go, "How often you go to the gym?" And they're like, "Man, I've been to the gym so many times in my life." I go, "How often have you stuck with the gym?" And the answer is always not as big as you think, right? It's the same analogy with marketing and selling and fulfillment. If you simply stick with anything for long enough, you'll fucking figure it out. And if you're not having success with Instagram ads, and you say, oh, I've got all this like smartness in me. If I just moved my vehicle or moved my channel, moved my medium, you know what? Twitter ads is where it's at. Really, dude? Is that why you're not having success? Because it's Instagram versus it's still people, dude. It's because your ads suck ass, right? You don't understand what they need or want. And the people that end up having sticky success, no matter what channel they pick, it just works. So I want to bring that to you. Like, no matter what niche you go after, you'll probably have some success prospecting now. Is that right?
Yeah, because I've applied prospecting and like all the different things I've done, like back in construction, back in the agency, and now with our coaching consulting. And like, you know, we helped our clients do it, like, you know, because we teach outbound prospecting. So we've helped our clients do it in over like 50 plus niches. And now I've really seen that it all boils down to the same stuff, right?
Yeah.
But no, I'm glad you brought attention to that, because I think it is huge. Like the fact that you just have to do something for a while and you'll get it to work. Like you can't really be that bad where like you do something for like 2 years and you don't make it work, right? Like if that's the case, you probably should go back to having a job.
Maybe that's too far, but yeah. All right, cool. All right. So you're having sticky success. You're in the van. You're having conversations. You're learning the lesson of compound over time. Beautiful, right? Somewhere along this journey, you double down and say, I'm just going to do prospecting as a service, and you changed how you charged. So if I understand correctly, at this point in your journey, you're charging retainer. Is that right, to these gyms? Is that correct or no?
Yeah.
When did you switch to that pay per lead model?
Yeah, so I switched for a pay per lead model when my buddy Chris that I ended up. So what happened was, let me just say about the rest of this agency. So we ended up getting to like 10, 15K per month. Got out of the van, like went to a house, went back to normal people's life, showered and everything.
How long did that van journey last, by the way?
Almost 6 months.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I just remember this, we're talking about it. I remember we had a smoothie machine and we would hook up to the car battery. That's how we'd have breakfast before we go out like, doing sales.
Fucking smoothie machine.
Yeah, and I always remember car battery. And I always remember the one funniest moment about this is like, I remember one client we closed, it was a naturopathic clinic, and we closed them on a 3K retainer, and they were like super professional. The guy was like super like doctory and like professional and corporate-y. But I remember like it was like a 9 a.m. appointment. So I remember we were like in the van in his parking lot of his complex and like waking up and like changing like into like, and trying to make ourselves look professional and like wear nice clothes, walk in. And I just remember thinking like, I wonder what it'd be like if this guy knew, like we just kind of rose out of a van and came into his office to close him.
Fucking love it.
All right, the van journey lasted 6 months.
Got it. Okay. All right. So you were saying something that like, when you transition to pay per lead or the end of your agency or something like that, what were you saying?
Oh yeah. So me and the girl ended up splitting up on good terms, of course. But then by that point, we're like, hey, let's just go our separate ways. And then my buddy, at this point, I was in Vietnam. So like after the agency was running for a while and I was, making consistent money with it, I decided to travel for a bit. And then I came out here just for a few weeks, but then decided to just stay longer. Met my wife, got married. So that's kind of why I've been here so long. Yep. But while I was out here, me and the girl I started the first agency with, we split up. We also lost like a lot of clients through COVID. So I was like, you know what, let me just kind of restart with a fresh perspective. And then my buddy Chris was visiting me, who was a really, really great media buyer. And he was the one that put me on to Dan Wardrobe. And he was like, hey, we got to join this program, yada, yada. So yeah, at that point, I kind of had to let that first agency go, restarted it with Chris. And we joined Dan's coaching program and just followed that like a blueprint. And yeah, it was a hit.
And that's where you started landing not $2,000 a month retainers or $3,000 a month retainers, but it says $50,000 a month. I'm assuming you were being paid for like, it was a pay per lead arrangement. Is that right?
Yeah, we were doing mostly pay per lead and then also like some rev share deals. So that was a cool thing because you talked before about like the vehicle, right? So I was doing the same thing. I was doing lead gen, but I was just doing it for national level companies and just charging per lead or charging like rev share on the back end, which most of the time didn't work because most of these guys don't really have their sales in place and we didn't vet them properly at the time. But when we did, it would work out really well. But yeah, that was when I was going from, just charging 2K, 3K for retainer. So we had clients paying, 5, 10K, and some were paying like, we had two of these bigger companies. Like one was one of the biggest solar companies. One was one of the biggest business lending companies. And they were paying us like 20 grand a month. And I was just like, beautiful. Holy cow. At first I was like, is this illegal? Is something like, is this not going to last? Is this like something we're doing wrong here? Like, I feel like this is not real,
Yeah. Like somebody's knocking on your door saying this is 100% not kosher.
Yeah, my business partner who was running all the ads is going to be like, hey, by the way, AJ, I was actually doing some really sketchy affiliate stuff, so.
Yeah, just FYI. It's just internet drugs. Just pretend to not know. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a cool learning moment because it was just, that's when I learned the power of the vehicle, right? How you could take a skill. Yeah. Like I think all the time about people that are really smart, really hardworking, but they don't succeed in whatever they're doing, right? And the fact that like we all work hard, like people that are even construction workers and make, 10, 20, $30 an hour, they work just as hard as us. But it's like, what vehicle are you applying your hard work and your skills to, right? So that was kind of when I learned that lesson around, I could do the same thing, but just do it for a company that values the end result more, has a lot more capacity for scale, and we can get, clients paying us 5 figures a month.
I will tell you the difference between me talking to a solopreneur dentist in backwater, 1 hour away from Kansas City, Missouri type dentist versus the guy in LA who has 15 locations. It's the same work, but the guy in LA clearly not only has his act together, but his business is set up. And for me to best serve him and make everybody a boatload of money, I only got to do one thing. That's it, nothing else, which means I can focus, I can get better at that one thing, and all of a sudden everything lines up to be massively successful. With the guy in who the hell knows where in Kansas City, Missouri, I got to do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things. Yeah. And it's usually a function of like their business is challenged. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you go, it's not just me and it's not just that guy, but it's the whole industry itself. Like at the most, a dentist could charge $3,000 an implant or $15,000, $20,000 for the all-in-4s, but there's not going to be a national provider that can just send out somebody and serve an entire USA. Contrast that with like an insurance company, right? There's no cap to the number of people they can serve. Everything is a contract. Contrast that with like financial services. Contrast that with like real estate. It's nuts. Or even like national pest control companies. That's what I'm hearing from you, right? Like you can do really, really great work, but one day you got to wake up and have the consciousness of saying, I'm very, very good, and now it's time to change where I'm applying my skills. Is that correct? Right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I wasn't doing anything that different, right? Like, so we were doing like 10, 20K a month and then going to like 50K a month 4 or 5 months later. Whereas at that point I was at like 10, 15K a month for like almost a year, right? So that was really the main change. And then also having a business partner that had complementary skill sets because I was able to just focus on the sales. He would just focus on the media buying.
Beautiful.
But like, it was just a matter of applying the skills differently. And also like, that's where I really like working with big companies for that reason, because they have their stuff together, but also you learn a lot from them. Like I love talking with someone who's got like a, 8-figure business, because you just get to learn a lot how they think. And also it's easier to do your thing, because honestly, like with really small businesses, you're kind of like becoming a business consultant,
Yes.
Cause you want to help them convert your leads so they don't blame it on you later. But then
horrifically frustrating the whole time you're fucking angry about it. I'm noticing like a very interesting trend, which is like your natural skill set is always generating sales conversations, like knowing what to say, to be on the phone, to have them open to taking a next step with you or somebody else, which is not necessarily trying to hard close, trying to talk about fulfillment, but effectively like, hey man, I'm going to knock on your door in person or online, and we're going to have a phone call. It seems like that's like your T skill. Like you focus entirely on that and you have an understanding of other things, but this is what you focus on. Is that correct?
Yeah. And that's what I mostly enjoy the most. Cause what I love about lead generation is it's just like, you just create something out of you just create money out of like thin air. Like you can make any business work if you can get the top of the funnel, cause then everything all the dominoes fall into place. Right. So I just love that part of the process, but I've also realized that most people hate that part of the process, or it's kind of the hardest. Like it's like the hardest because it's the coldest, right? So It was something that kind of I just did for a while at my old job, did for a while through my entrepreneurial journey. So I got good at it, but then I kind of realized along the way, like most people struggle with this is what a lot of companies are challenged with, is having that initial first contact. So then I kind of realized like if that comes easy to me, I should just go all in and make that my thing.
So how did the conversation between like a natural path, a painting conversation, and these natural massive pay per lead clients, like what was that sales conversation? Is it the same conversation? Is it like fundamentally different? Like, are you knocking on, hey, national pay per lead buyer, you want we're doing Sarah's pay per lead contract. You want some of it? Like, what is the progression of those sales conversations, and how are you mastering that difference?
Yeah, so I actually never thought about that, but I have kind of sold to lots of different types of people. And I think the core of sales is the same, right? Like you have to do discovery, like find out what the heck's going on, right? Find out just the facts about their current situation, find out what the problem is, find out what they're looking for, what their, desired future state is, and then bridge that into your offer, right? And then leave space for handling objections and all that fun stuff. So I think like the core of it's the same, but it definitely was different. Like talking to, gyms in Arizona or naturopaths or, yoga studios, that's like totally different than, definitely different than painting, right? Definitely different than dealing with homeowners. When I was dealing with homeowners, which that's B2C, it was mostly just like talking shit with them. Like 80% of the time because they didn't really want to talk about painting. Like I was talking about their kids and like baseball or whatever. So that was where it's more like rapport and also more like emotional based. Like I find B2C is very like, it was very like emotional. So I talk about like you're at this beautiful new house and like, can you imagine what it's going to look like after you fix up that shed and you can use it again, like that sort of thing. So I think B2C was a little bit more emotional. B2B is a little bit more logical. But when you're dealing with a small business, it's kind of like still B2C in a way because you're like talking to a person, right? When I got up into working with larger companies, that's when there was the biggest shift because it was just more. There's still emotion in it, but it's just much more of a logical sale, and it's just much more like direct, straight to the point, like shorter conversations. And like also multiple people involved, which gets fun. But I find like when I started doing the PPL deals and working with these bigger companies, it was more like, really talking about the numbers, like really talking specifically about like how we're going to do what we're going to do. Like numbers, KPIs, facts, like much more logical, and also building the relationship. That's kind of where I realized that like with big companies, you just have to kind of help them do something, show them that you can add value, make their life easier, make their job less stressful, whatever. Like take care of something fully for them, and they'll love you forever and ask you like, what else can you do?
Interesting.
I found like bigger companies, they really value long-term relationships because they're in the long-term game, right? Like it's different when you're talking to someone who, like most small businesses, they're not going to be there in a couple of years,
Right.
But bigger companies, I always just hear them use the term like we want a long-term partnership, long-term relationship. So if you can, it is a lot of relationship building. But because they've been around for so long and they know they're gonna like they have like like some big companies, they have like a 10-year plan, right? Which is crazy. Like I can't even think about like tomorrow, sometimes. But they really value like the long-term partnership and relationship. So it's kind of also playing on that and like showing them that you're here to help them for the long run.
So the en masse big buyers, B2B, it's definitely like logical. Here are the facts, here are the numbers, here's how I can help you. En masse B2C is more like, how are you feeling? Wouldn't this feel great? Wouldn't this look great? I'm a human being. We can relate to each other. Is that like the big difference between a B2B en masse sale and a B2C? Like when you're talking like the painters or the painting clients, they don't really care about the paint you're using. Is that correct?
Yeah.
But
exactly.
These people might care about the type of ad you're using. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah. Like, the stuff that if you're talking to, like a person who runs a business or a person and it's a B2C thing, like, then you can talk about the problem and like, how's that problem affecting you? Like, that must feel bad. Like, you must really want to solve that. How would it feel to have this? Can you imagine if you got this? But if you do that with like a CEO of like a big ass company, they're going to be like, what script are you reading, kid? Like,
how do I feel about my return? Man, shut up. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, don't even ask me. I have been on the receiving end of these like very intense sales scripts that are like, so how does your family think about your return on? It's like, what are you doing? Like, what
you don't know me.
17-year-old, what the fuck are you doing? Like, stop reading from the script, man. We're human beings. Say your piece, and then I'll let you know in 30 seconds. Yeah, so it's funny you brought that up. But now what I'm understanding is like you've really nailed that prospecting skill set, and you went from painting to traveling to national buyers of pay-per-lead, and now you're on a new part of your agency journey. Is that right? But it's still the prospecting and nailing that opening conversation. Now you're doing something. I forget the name of the company. What is that? What is this new phase of your agency journey?
So the company we started a year and a half ago is Revenue Boost. Basically it's still based around the outbound lead gen, the top of the funnel, kind of starting the conversation. So I've kind of always been in that line, just in kind of different environments like B2C, B2B. And we're really just building it to be a consulting or education company. We do run outreach campaigns for a lot of big brands. But I mostly just do that to kind of like keep testing things outside of my own business and like sharpen the skills and stay relevant. But we're really building it to be like a consulting education brand to teach outbound lead gen, sales, and the B2B sales process. So like, yeah, we help a lot of agencies. We have like SaaS companies, like consultants, professional service providers. So I kind of want to build like what Ryan Deiss built with Digital Marketer, but just more in the B2B space, like just niche in that.
Are you finding some languaging and wording scripts are like universal in all prospecting conversations? Like I'm really trying to market test or hypothesize like reason, excuse, question as a way to like start conversations en masse. Like the reason I'm reaching out, the excuse I'm using to start a conversation with you, and the question to get a response. Like that format for me is working 80-90% across every industry. Are you finding some common themes with prospecting en masse as a service? Like this is what's working, this is not type of thing?
Yeah, I think it's more what you said, like the framework. It's less the actual words, right? Because that's going to just depend on what it is you're selling, who you're reaching out to, kind of what they're dealing with, right? That's the other complicated thing about B2B, right? Like talking to a big company, like you have to approach a job title different than another job title, right? Because they're dealing with different KPIs, different goals, all that. So yeah, the words are definitely totally different, but the framework's the same. Always starting with a reason for reaching out, or kind of like how I found you.
Yeah.
Because what I always try to do, and what we try to teach, we teach our clients around prospecting is like, you can't have it feel like it's an automated thing, because we get thousands of cold emails, right? So even if you're automating it, like the key is having it be automated, but making it seem like a personalized thing. Like you can do that by saying like, hey, found you online, or someone recommended me to your business, or like I came across one of your ads online. So you could still do that at like an automated scale, and it kind of seems personalized, right? Reason I'm reaching out is because I noticed a lot of people in your industry, don't struggle with X, Y, and Z, which leads to X, Y, and Z. We found a way to solve this. We did it for them, and I thought you might benefit. Can I share some information? That's like kind of a pretty standard outreach template that we used. So it's kind of like reason for reaching out, problem, outcome, or / credibility, and then like a soft call to action. But it's always starting with
I've been on the receiving end of the like, I was referred to you by. It gets my attention every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, it's good. So yeah, like just trying to make it. The way you can get through with outreach is just making it seem like it's just a person talking to another person. Like, hey, I'm AJ and I found you somewhere, Jeff, and I had a real reason for reaching out, because anytime someone sends me an email and it's personalized, I'll always read it, because I'm like, this person took the time of day. There might be a legit opportunity, like someone even just emailed me with a subject line, and the subject line was just, hey, and I was like, oh, who's this? Like, I thought that was awesome.
Fantastic. Hey, someone referred me to you. Do you want to talk?
Yeah.
Oh, got me.
Yeah.
Every time.
Exactly. Yeah. The simple, boring subject lines and openers work the best. Because one thing people don't realize is like, so I don't know, I probably looked over like thousands of cold emails, because we were always having our clients like send us their scripts they're using or their copy, and we help them edit it. And like, I think a lot of times a really good marketer could struggle with cold email, because it's a different environment. Like you're not supposed to write a cold email the same way you write an ad or a newsletter, because it's a different environment. It's like people use their email inbox because they're expecting to talk to people. So you have to kind of come across like a colleague, or like someone reaching out, or like someone of their, someone that they would work with, right? So it's really supposed to just feel like, it's supposed to feel just like a note. Like imagine I'm sending you a personal handwritten letter in the mail. In the mail. If you could write it like that, then it's going to get through a lot more.
Very interesting. And I think you're doing something with a magazine now. Is that correct? Or what's going on with that?
Yeah. So we partnered up with Founder. I mean, Founder's a magazine. People know them as a magazine, but now they're becoming more of an education company. So they have kind of like the publishing model. They get like experts like me or you to teach a course on something, and then they, sell it, because they have like 4 million followers, subscribers across their socials. So they kind of built their whole brand through like, the magazine, but now they do courses and coaching and all that stuff. So they actually found me somewhere. I think it was because I spoke at AdWorld last year. So they actually reached out to me and was like, hey, we're looking for someone to teach B2B lead gen and cold email stuff to our audience. So I worked with them to basically like fly out to Australia and produce a course on LinkedIn and email prospecting. And then they would film and edit it and just publish it to their audience. And then I ended up getting them as a client, because they're trying to go less B2C, like teaching newbie marketers, to more B2B now, and like taking their whole library of like information and selling that to companies. So now I'm helping them test that through outreach. So
the same way digital marketers, people come in, they've got like the slatted wood background and the TV screen, they're bringing people in. Founders doing the same. And the same way Linda, bought by LinkedIn, is trying to do B2B education, right?
Yeah, same thing. That's the same model there. I mean, that's kind of where I want to take Revenue Boost essentially, is get other experts in. And we already have other consultants that work with our clients, but I want to go that model of like having courses and digital products for different like problems in a company.
So I've been experimenting with that as part of like a membership site. And
Yeah.
it's very easy to make people very happy when there's like bi-weekly or monthly updates. And you go,
Yeah.
hey guys, I've just shelled out a buttload of cash Netflix style to get this movie onto our platform or whatever it is, or this course by this famous guy onto our platform. Go in, have a good time, take a look. And I've looked at the numbers. I know everyone should be watching the whole thing. They don't. Okay. But knowing that somebody is just trying really hard to solve their problems, in my understanding, is enough for them to like stick around and be happy and things like that. So when I release like, hey guys, here's how I'm using ChatGPT, all the members are like, thank you. Right. Even though only like, I think it was like 2.5 or 3%.
They won't watch it.
Yeah. It's like, what am I going to do? Right.
Yeah.
But it seems very easy to make people happy that way. So there you go.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of like the perception of value versus the actual value, right? People just have to feel like they're getting something. But I think that's a cool story because like we've all bought these courses. Like you probably bought a course before and you can tell it was filmed like 3 years ago and it's like, oh, come on, what the fuck, dude?
Yep.
So I think there's a lot of like that. So when people know that you're updating it and adding fresh stuff, then they appreciate it a lot. But yeah, actually it's funny. A lot of the companies are transitioning to that model now. They're going from like B2C or B2B because I've been working with Onyx and Gal as well because we're helping his team with some of their offers with outreach. And they also teach like newbie marketers forever. They have like an over $50 million a year business. And now they're just like shut a lot of it down to like go B2B and like work with more high level people like me and you. So yeah, it's interesting. I think I've seen a lot of companies kind of transition to doing that. But yeah, working with Foundr was cool because I got to see the inside of it.
It's really interesting hearing your story because it sounds like you, like everybody else, couldn't plan 6, 12, 18, 24 months from where you were to where you wanted to be. It just wasn't going to happen. But what you started doing was saying yes to opportunities that just aligned with some like bigger picture value skill set type of thing. You're like, I may not know where I'm going, but as long as I have a North Star, everything's going to be okay. And it sounds like when you got your first job, you're like, I'm going to learn sales and marketing. We're going to figure it out. I'm going to branch out on my own. We're going to figure that out, make the best of it. We're going to stick around until we have some success. And then when we've figured out, had some success, I've got a skill set. Now I can test which business model or which vertical or which industry is a good fit for me. And I think that's like the whole dang entrepreneurial journey. Like just trying to make the best of it, figure out who you're supposed to work with and have a good time doing it. And it sounds like living in a van might be one of those like stories you tell your grandkids where you're like,
yeah,
let me tell you about a time, back when I lived in a van, and you're like, come on, like that can't be really, like it is. And it's really cool having you on the podcast. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. It was a fun chat, but I definitely agree with you, man. I think that really is the essence of entrepreneurship. Like it was, I think maybe as you get further in the game, you do start to, maybe it's more like you say yes a lot at the beginning and then start to say no later. Because once you kind of know what you're doing and you're committed to one thing for a while, then you're starting to think longer term. But yeah, for me, like this whole time, it was mostly just kind of organically following like, just what made sense at the time, And I think now that I think of it, I think there's kind of two things that I use as my North Star. One was like providing value, because like at some point we all realized that business is just about providing value to other people, right? That's why they pay you money. So as I, kind of went through my journey, I was like, well, let me just keep following like how I can add more value to other people, right? And then also building skills. I always knew like if I build valuable skills, I can always have an opportunity somewhere, right? So I always kind of follow the best opportunity to just, increase my skills. And then as long as you can do those two things, like you can always kind of find a niche anywhere. But yeah, it does take a little bit of experimenting to bounce around and find what you really like doing, But now it's like saying no more. Now it's like, and I hate saying no. I'm definitely a yes man, like so much, because I'm definitely like an optimist and I get attracted to all the shiny balls. Luckily, my wife, who runs the business with me, she's more of like a no person and more of like the good cop, bad cop. She'll deny all my ideas.
This is a horrible idea. How could you think of that? I thought it was.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm always selling her on the idea because I'm the sales guy, right? And but now I realize if I have to sell her on it, then it's probably not a good idea. But anyway, she grounds me a lot with like not being a yes man. But yeah, now I realize it's more about like saying no to things, because there's a lot of good opportunities that have come our way recently, especially as we started to like work with Foundr and some of these bigger brands that have, I guess, got my personal brand out there more. And it's like, I guess as you grow more, there's more opportunities coming your way and better opportunities, but it's like harder because you're supposed to kind of stay more focused, right, on what you're doing.
Yeah, man.
So
Adulting sucks. I just want to do everything all the time. And I got to say,
know, right?
no to 99% of everything. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
My last question for you is, are you open to having maybe like a 15-minute group chat with a couple people in the group, trying to figure out their prospecting, their outbound message, what they can do to get more people on the phone interested in buying their agency services?
Yeah, I'd love to help. I mean, if it's going to be a few people, we can make it like a 30-minute call so we can get some more time for questions in.
All right, cool. So for everybody watching, just hashtag AJ. I'll pick 3 people. You all can get on a group call, and he'll help you nail your prospecting, your cold email outreach, and what you're supposed to say to a person to where they're interested in getting on the phone with you and letting you deliver a sales call. And ultimately, maybe this is the difference between where you are and getting your next 5, 10, 15, 20 clients en masse or one-on-one at a time. So if you're interested in that call, just hashtag AJ, and I'll do the group invites over the weekend. My last question for you, AJ, if there is one thing that somebody should be taking away from this interview in your journey to apply directly to their own agency journey or entrepreneurial journey, what would that one thing be?
I would say just consistency and persistence in what you're doing. Like, kind of like we talked about earlier in the interview, you can't like not get better at something if you keep doing it, right? Yeah. So you only really need one acquisition channel to build a decent sized business, right? So whether that's outreach for you, whether that's ads like it is for you, Jeff, or like whatever it is, just find one thing that kind of fits your personality. For me, it was outreach. For me, it was outbound. It could be something else. Yep. And just become great at that, because one lead gen channel can allow you like so much freedom to grow your own business and to start the next business later, right? But not even just about lead gen, more just about the concept in general of just doing one thing and staying consistent with it and being persistent. Because I've had a lot of other times where I was kind of knocked down and had to get myself up, and like I've always just was persistent and moving forward, and things just always kind of work out. So stick with it, let time play its course.
Absolutely love it, everybody. AJ, catch you guys later. Thanks for tuning in.
See you guys.